our next panel discussion is all about how TV joins on the digital bandwagon with connected TV, the evolution of TV with technology, and the knock-on effect for marketing strategies, content, and measurement. That's going to be the underlying theme of our session. So that's going to be the entire focus. So with that, let me go ahead and invite our speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, this particular session will be spearheaded by Rajiv Rajagopal, National Head, GroupM. So if I could please invite Rajiv to please come on stage. And joining Rajiv, if I could also please invite our amazing panelists as well. We have with us Ranjana Mangla, Senior Vice President and Head of Ad Revenue, Sony Pictures Network India. If I could please invite Ranjana to please come on stage. May I further please also invite, I think, yes. Hi there. Let's have you on the stage, please. If I could please invite Vikram Chande, General Manager and Sales Lead India, Samsung Ads, Yatnesh Pandey, Vice President Marketing, Greenply, and Gaurav Kanwal, Chief Revenue Officer, Z5. So what will be the new measurability metrics? That's going to be the big question. So let's find out the answer. And ladies and gentlemen, we've had such an engaging discussion just before, and I'm sure we're going to have one. On that note, let's actually come together. Let's welcome our panelists as well, and let's welcome them with a round of applause, everyone. Bring your energy back in the air, bring your smiles back in the air, and with that, let me quickly hand over the session to Rajiv. Over to you then.
Check. Thank you so much. A very good afternoon to everyone. I think I was part of a few sessions in the morning, and I've been hearing only about transformation, right? I've been hearing transformation in the digital space. I've been hearing transformation in the entire Indian economy, AI, MarTech, everything. But I think one important transformation which is happening as we speak is also in the medium television, Indian television, right? It is already happening globally, but in the last 2.5, 3 years, Indian television has been going through a big transformation. So this session is going to be about understanding how big this transformation is and what is leading to this transformation. Like as per GroupM estimates, India is the only market globally where both linear and connected TV are growing, right? So that's the kind of growth you're seeing in India. So it's going in like a complementing each other model. Today, connected TV has crossed more than 35 million households. That's been a staggering growth over the last 2 years. And you've seen how the World Cup numbers are, right? We have crossed 59 million concurrency, which is really unheard of. So I would be very positive that the connected TV reach would touch more than 40 million base by the end of this year. That's what I am very positive about. So without delaying too much, getting into this entire concept about how audience is migrating, and my first question is to you, Yatnesh. What on your view is on the convergence of digital and traditional advertising methods in this evolving landscape? And as a marketer, how do you see or how you should see brands transitioning into the space?
Okay, Rajiv, I think I am the odd man out in this group who is not the publishing house or any platform. It's more on the marketer side. We marketer always look from the consumer lens. We don't look the lens of the media or look the lens of the platform. We first take the lens of the customers. If you have to see last 1 decade, mostly there are the 3 tectonic shifts is happening in terms of the consumer behavior. The first is there is a demographic shift is happening. So that's, we know how the gender shifting is happening. We know how what kind of the age demographies are moving. The second is the values are changing. And third, which is more important compared on this context of the media, that is the hyperconnectivity. The consumers are a lot more connected today. We start our day with the some music list of the Spotify, Alexa, to the move to the commuting of any FM channel, start the day with the some ink news reading, move to the various form of the digital news reading. So in this hyper connectivity era of the consumers, the challenge for the marketer is to how we can expose our messaging to the customer where they are continuously exploring and evaluating the product. So that's the challenge is there. Now, if you have to see on this medium of the connected TV is on this, all this, whatever the evolution is happening is good for us. Not only bringing the effective targeting, bringing to the incremental reach, but same time is making their messaging more convenient for the customers on their exploration evaluation journey. And sometimes I feel the category like us, where there is a long purchase cycle is there. We focus on how to build the saliency. And on building the saliency, we need to make the very sharp targeting, and we need to build upon the certain frequency, avoiding the duplication. This kind of the mediums are very, very important for us. If you have to, I think you guys will have the better hands on the number, but what I keep hearing the numbers, 25, 30, 35, if you take the median number also, 30 million households and 3.5. So it has a significant number for us. So we as a marketer, I think we are going to place the more and more weights for this to reach to our audience.
Right. In fact, I'm going to come back to you, Yatnesh, over the session on the incremental reach part. Right. Yeah. So, as I said, all this progress has happened, and the way audience is shifting, it's largely happened in the OTT space, right? OTTs were one of the first to see the shift in audience moving and starting consumption more. As an OTT platform yourself, Ranjana, you've been leading, and you see a lot of BVOD broadcaster content getting mirrored on both OTT as well as on linear feed. So how do you see the shift between audience, and why do you think these audiences are moving? What is this? Is it convenience, or is it something else which we don't know about?
Your audience? Okay. No, first of all, hi to everyone in the audience, and thank you so much for having me on the panel. I think if you just break it down and not just define it as CTV, connected TV, addressable TV, and we just look at it as TV to begin with. So I think, and why the shift has happened first in OTT. Because at the heart of everything that we do as broadcasters is the content. And I always say this, whether technology brought content and content brought technology will always be a very important question for everyone in the business to understand. So I think because of technology disruption, I think the timing is very good. We have legacy content and we have new content. We're building both. So I think we're building content for India, we're building content for Bharat. I always know that there is a debate going on saying that TV is growing and at the same time OTT is growing, but I firmly believe that the growth in rural for connected TV is going to be as fast as it has been, in some of the big metros. The shift has primarily happened because of ease of viewing. I think it doesn't really tie you down to a fixed schedule like how it was in our television world. And I think that is very liberating for the audience. In the busy lives, we all actually, I think most of us hate technology for that it's just made our life too much more busier than it really was. But at the same time, every service that gives you ease will be welcomed by the consumers in every sphere, whether you're trying to market a shampoo to somebody or whether we are trying to market content. And therefore, the shift has been phenomenal for OTT. I always, we've all seen this, content delivers faster than any other service to the users because it's just engagement. It's just sheer fun to sort of watch something that you like. And I think as broadcasters, and I speak for everyone, I speak for Gaurav, and I definitely speak for all my other counterparts in OTT, that we are creating a lot of content. We're investing first, and therefore the user shift has been phenomenal.
I think it's a very interesting point you mentioned that you reach out to both Bharat and India together, right? So there is enough dearth of content where you can reach out to both because the kind of audience is so much to reach out to.
Absolutely.
Do you specifically, again, I'm coming back to OTT, do you specifically see any a genre or kind of content which is more prone on to audiences coming onto OTT? Or is it like you see that, okay, no, you have a spectrum of audiences coming across and watching all kind of content?
No, I would not want to limit it to any specific genre. I think as people adopt technology, they get lazy. So they just see what they like, right? So once somebody has shifted to any internet-enabled large device, they're going to just watch what they like. Whether you are showing them live news, my friend Vivek is there, or whether you're showing them entertainment content what we show as Sony Live, or high quality sports content, whether you're showing them tennis, you're showing them soccer. Definitely the early adoption is there in the top of the pyramid audience of about 50 million people households that we sort of, all of us are right now trying to cater to. So there's a very good definition in some form. But it's growing. It's growing, and he said earlier in the day that it's very confusing for the marketer to really segregate. And my sense is that good confusion is going to continue because the audience is adopting. We all have to be agile, learn every day, study data every day to see expansion is coming from all kind of directions. So I firmly believe it will be very sort of limiting on our part to think that only top 50 million are moving. Actually, all kind of audiences are moving. Today, even when I look at a show like, MasterChef India, which ideally is a really big massy show, is being watched by the top 50 million with the same amount of, passion and liking, and, because now it's available in the same form. And a lot of cord cutters have been around. The guys who had actually gone from television are back because now their favorite shows are available to watch it the way they like it at their convenience of time. So, yeah.
Right. In fact, since you already pointed to Yatnesh, I want to continue with Yatnesh. So Yatnesh, as Ranjana mentioned, there's enough complexities for marketeers already. But what has happened is that there's a new medium which has come open for you, right? And as Ranjana was mentioning that there are a kind of spectrum of audiences and the kind of volume of audiences on connected TV as it's increasing. How, as an advertiser, would you see to leverage these unique features on a connected TV? Is it through a unique ad format or through a unique ad experience, or how do you see that for yourself as a marketer?
So this is correct. I think is an IWA very complex time for the marketer, because if you choose the smallest genre also, I was just chatting on the backstage, even the news genre planning is becoming so tough. The one of my teammates says, "Boss, आप इतना ज्ञान देते हो, आप एक बार आंध्रा का न्यूज़ चैनल का प्लानिंग करके दिखा दो इलेक्शन टाइम के ऊपर में." And when really I sit with the number of the channels there, it's becoming so tough. So it's becoming the complex day by day. Now, what change I find it, in the traditional media world, we marketer plays the ad where the publications get sold in the context of the publication. But now in this new evolving digital space, you can find out what are the behaviors are there, what are the action, interests are there. So you will have the more accurate signals are there in terms of the profiling. So from where placing the ad to whom placing the ad, now it's becoming the more advantageous for us. So that's the way we plan and then we use it. And it is not just the one way ki break aayega, 20 second, 10 second, whatever the ACD you have planned. You have the more completed video views. We have the more specific target planning. So those are the advantageous parts are there. So there is a complexity is going, but same time it is bringing some very advantage also for the marketer.
That's a segue to you, Vikram, because he mentioned about where you have to place the ad and not whom, right? So when I speak about where to place the ad, with the advent of smart TVs coming in now, right? There's enough and more opportunity coming over there as well. So as a OEM or a smart TV manufacturer yourself, how do you see partnering with content providers to enhance the viewing experience for a normal consumer?
See, I think smart TVs and specifically what we are doing is creating like a unified experience. And if you look at every smart TV today comes with a very matured operating system. So if you, just to take an example of Samsung, we have our own operating system called Tizen. And both Z and Sony are already very much prominent on our ecosystem, and so are other apps. And we see ourselves as unifier of content experiences, because today, not only cable or linear, but wherever there is good content, the consumers are getting pulled towards it. And we are just creating a medium. When you look at the enablement of the remote control, so we now have smart buttons. You don't have the 1, 2, 3 and those analog buttons anymore. You just have your favorite app, just click the button and you are within the app connected with your content. Similarly, we have a fast service of our own where you are also looking at consuming live content, which is the new way of consuming content, your linear content in a fast environment. We have those live channels available. So we are today as an enabler of experiences, creating those recommendation engines, those content discovery mechanisms within our own ecosystem, so that consumers can reach the content faster. and they can basically make sure that they are unifying all their experiences on one platform and not jumping onto other devices. And that also brings a very good totality to the ecosystem, because then you know your consumer better. Marketers can, advertisers can take an advantage of a unified experience view, and they can then target them in a more addressable way. So we are basically like an unifier. So very neutral, making sure that things don't break up, and we give a smooth experiences to our TV owners also and to our advertisers also.
In fact, very interesting. Since you mentioned that your remote is no more your traditional number button. It's not a calculator anymore, right? So there is influx of voice messages or putting voice applications. So it's the way consumer discover the content is becoming very different. And these are all being tracked. These are all being kind of data signals for you. How do you see all these innovations, I would call as voice control, AI integrations, and app ecosystem influencing a user experience, and how that is relevant to you as an OEM?
See, I'll just pick up on the app experiences first, because till date, if you look at, I'll just draw an analogy between the mobile ecosystem and the TV ecosystem. Mobile before 2007, we never used those apps in a way it's just post the launch of App Store when Apple came up with this concept, and people started then micro searching their content on various theme apps. This is the same thing that is now going to be repeated on TV. The only narrative that this is just a start. TVs today, if you look at Tizen App Store, carries more than 300 apps. Obviously 40-50% of those apps are content related apps where you can consume your content. So right from your OTTs to your news apps and so on and so forth. This ecosystem is now going to go the way the mobile ecosystem grew. So TV is then going to become the unifier of all those app experiences, which are specifically optimized for TV and are not ported or are not mirrored. So app experiences is again going to contribute to the entire content discovery that we have today built in the OS. And eventually it's all going to be about recommendations, because once you just turn on the TV, it's no longer those 7 rainbows or those gray dots. It's just like a complete full-fledged smart OS in front of you, and you get overwhelmed. So you need a recommendation based on your experiences with the various apps that you have or various content that you have, what you should watch next. So TV is now, the TV OS is going to play a big role in creating a smart content engine experience which can recommend and help you discover quicker. And voice is again just an enabler. You just speak to your TV. So the way Steve said in 2007 that you can touch your music, now you can speak, now you can basically just command your TV and just make sure that you are firing up any of the app experiences that you need or any of your content that you need. We have an integration with Bixby, which is our own voice enabler, and we also have an integration with Alexa. So we have opened the ecosystem. It's just that how creators and content developers integrate into the core of the OS and how they take advantages and create experiences is what is the play.
Sure.
The point that he just made, right? That people search for content, even in the CTV, ecosystem. Now that's the point. So you have to make compelling content today, no matter whether you're wanting to market in the CTV world or you want to market in the mobile world. People are going to come and search for content. So I think the biggest cue for OTT broadcasters like us, and that's our winning point, is that we have a lot of big IPs where the familiarity of content is extremely high. So when somebody is really searching for a Shark Tank India or a KBC or Indian Idol, I think more and more familiar content is our edge. And that's the reason why OTT adoption on CTV has been faster than probably any other app service that's available, because more and more people are now going to come in, and thank you to Samsung for really enabling that they can just search for the content, and if they like what they're watching, then they're going to continue watching. Of course, it makes the marketer's job a little more complex, but yeah, it was never easy.
No, I think that's a brilliant way of collaboration. That's how the industry should move forward, right? It's not two different ecosystem, OTTs and the hardware, right? Both has to move together to the space. And in interest of that, I want to know from you, Gaurav, that these kind of innovations which is happening from a tech side on the smart TV space, how do you see that getting adopted in the OTT, and how do you see the OTT gaining prominence? Because as Ranjana also mentioned, it's about the user interface, the content discovery happens there. So how do you, as a broadcaster, are investing time and effort to kind of make the user experience more seamless?
So First, I would like to thank the IMI team. This is out of the umpteen events that I've attended, the first one which is right on schedule. So thank you so much. Can't hear you?
Yeah, no, I can.
Okay. So, I want to look at it from 2 points of view. One is from a user standpoint. The other is from an advertiser standpoint. One is, while we talk about the 30, 35 million households who have a CTV right now, right? When we compare it to a linear TV or the OTT base, right? We saw that the OTT would not have been as big today had there not been the telecom revolution. Now, we're seeing the mobile connections stagnating, slowing down now. But the next fight that we're seeing amongst the telcos is in the broadband connections at home, right? As that expands, and I don't think you can actually go into the market and buy a dumb TV anymore, right? So every TV is a smart TV. It's just a question of, is it connected to the internet yet? Is it actually smart, right? And I think that's the challenge that Vikram and team also face, right? How do we get them connected? So that's going to be the next thing from a publisher standpoint or an app publisher standpoint from an OTT, right? The first thing I want to do for an advertiser is to make the ads interactive. That is what made the difference in OTT itself or in the overall digital space, that the ads were interactive, you could collect data, you can create engagement. How do we replicate that on the CTV side, right? On the user side, what is critical right now is creating the optimal user experience. For that, of course, like Vikram mentioned, we need open APIs. We need an absolutely open environment where we can connect everything that we innovate on, and it doesn't take ages, and we don't have to write lines of code for every different publisher, right? So those two things in my mind are critical. This ecosystem is going to explode as the number of broadband connections increase, as more and more people get the freedom. And while I'm very confident from an OTT standpoint, given that I'm giving them the luxury to watch whatever, whenever, and there is content being published specifically for the digital landscape, right? Data will become important. We have a lot of data for the mobile users, and people continue to watch on mobile, on tablets, on web, on CTV, right? How do I connect all of them and give that data to Mr. Moneybags here, right? So that, of course, we can, the odd man out, right? So that we can at least give him the bang for the buck as any marketer would want.
So I think that's a lead to you, Gaurav, that the kind of insights what both Vikram and Gaurav spoke about, and the kind of content which Ranjana mentioned about the kind of audience insights coming from those content. Now, what is happening is that there is a lot of audience insights coming in, right? It's convenience, somewhere it's convenience, somewhere it is the discovery of content, sometimes it is the app interface which brings you to a certain content. So the kind of data available through all these space, which is getting synced via connected TV, how do you as an advertiser would want to harness this data to test the behavior and preferences of consumers, and how do you engage them with more?
So we have to be cautious to spend money on this platform. Ultimately, all the ROI answer we have to give it to them. So I think one thing as a marketer, what we always look for. So we need a clear, our definition of the TG, which platform it should be available. We need a clear reach target for this platform, and then whatever the frequency, the target things are there. I think if that's data is available, then the further we goes toward the behavioral or any other interesting and all this. But these are the first three things are very basics of the data. Though there is a lot of claims are there, but still once we match the reports, we always struggle in even the some of the very evolved medium also. The second thing is I think it's now more deterministic data points are available. I don't have any use case study for my brand. We had just put the pilot budget on this thing, so maybe the later on. But what I hear, there is a one agency partner presented, is such a specific data points are there, one jewelry brand, they want to target the first salary of the employee, and they wanted to target the first salary for the mother gifting. and they are able to do, and then some conversion data numbers they are showing it. So if these kind of the data points are available, I think it's going to help us for us. And specifically the category where is the long purchase journey is there, where you have to strengthen the consideration and then later on move for the conversion. So it will be good for us. But I think it's still yet to see how we can derive insights from those data points.
Right. So, Gaurav, since you led that question to Yatnesh, I'm coming back to you because he mentioned that what he requires as a marketer, he wants to understand the medium better, understand what kind of ROI comes back, and it also wants to understand from a space of how he can engage better with. Now, one, as Yatnesh is already spending heavy on traditional TV advertising, I want to understand from your side that are there any specific opportunities which you feel that can arise on connected TV when compared to traditional TV advertising? It could be multiple things. It could be audience insights, as he mentioned. It could be ad podding strategy because of the ad duration. What do you think your advice would be to him?
You're going to get me into trouble, Rajiv. I represent a broadcast which has linear TV and digital both. So got to watch what I say here, especially because you guys are, what, streaming it, right? Okay, so see, from one is like Finecast, for example, right? Finecast as an aggregator, as somebody which is also as a unifier from a planning standpoint plays a very important role. I can talk about a lot in terms of what we can do with Z5 and all, but I don't think that's what you want to hear from me right now. It's more in terms of like first comes what's a strength that a broadcaster based OTT brings onto the table is the power of content, right? We've been doing it for decades, right? And Ranjana and I were talking about it, and you were there backstage, that the storytelling. We can help you a lot with storytelling that possibly linear TV may not be very successful or may not be very economical to you in terms of doing that. And with the advent of, so as much audience I have on my platform, I have an equal amount of audience following me on social. I can use the power of both to help brands tell their story very, very effectively, be it in terms of integrating them in the content, creating content, and using that for the amplification of the content as well. So that's extremely critical, which is probably not being used as much as it possibly should be. Yes, there are a lot of micro-influencers which are being used across the board at a, so for example, your product, right? There is a massive influencer side, which is possibly the carpenter or the contractor who influences the buying decision of the user, right? So while you want to reach out to the user from an awareness standpoint, you also want to reach out to the user. So that's where, why I want the CTV ads to be interactive, what I can do from a digital standpoint or an OTT standpoint is to help you tell the story and collect the data for you to engage with them at a larger level across the year rather than only when you're running a campaign, as an example, right? I think we're running out of time. Yeah. So I'll just stop here.
You can continue.
Okay, so that's as one example that we want to do. That is something that we are experimenting with certain brands right now, and we would want to take that. And as we innovate more and more on CTV, and given that CTV audience is considered premium, right? For the lack of a better word, I would use premium because you can buy CTV for what, 10 grand, 20. You can buy a Fire Stick for 4 grand and make anytime TV smart TV. But then, so yes, it's considered premium because there is nothing else to compare it with, or you just end up comparing it with a mobile phone. And Indian households are still single TV households as they move TVs, and it's not something that you buy every 2 years or 3 years like a mobile phone. You change it in 5 to 8 years time frame, right? So that's something that we will continue to innovate on the engagement aspect of CTV. That's something where we can bring a lot onto the table.
Right. Thanks, Gaurav. While I know you extended a little more because of the use cases which is coming over, which we all have seen, But what I want to now bring into the closure of the session is about the measurement angle, because just before the session, we all heard about the unified measurement piece, the panel discussion, which we all spoke about, right? So, unlike in other global markets, yes, India is a much more complicated stage right now, where we have multiple stakeholders to get a unified interface, and data is going to be extremely complex. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but it's complex, and it'll take, the reality is still a little more far ahead of us. So I want to ask Yatnesh a question on how critical, how can you emphasize on the need of the hour, and how critical it is for the industry to solve this reality, this unified measurement for you soon enough? And if that is the case, or in the absence of such a unified measurement, would you take a leap of faith in considering bespoke measurement options as one option to take marketing to those, continue marketing in CTV?
Yeah, I think it's very, very important for us to calculate our own ROI or whatever the return things are there. We were struggling earlier the challenge of to have the unified measurement between the different medium. How can we have the unified measurement between the outdoor, FM and TV? Then within the TV, the measurement issue was happening. Now this is another front got opened. So for us is the all front, there is some kind of the complexity are coming. So we want it should get as early as solve, and then we should able to prove it to the, at least for the internally.
I hope the Nielsen team and others
how the
are
ROIs
there in the
are.
room hearing this. Yeah. Ranjana, what do you think should be the role of a broadcaster in this space? When you think you will be ready to share the unique parameters, data parameters to identify audiences?
Actually, I can't understand. Just say again.
Hello, audible now?
Yeah, better.
I'm saying should be the role of an OTT or a broadcaster in the space, and when will you be ready to share the data with unique parameters to identify audiences within the scope of privacy laws?
Okay. So while I know in digital, data is seems to be everything, right? And I have a slightly different point of view when it comes to OTT advertising. I think Rajiv knows this really well. I think the whole debate of quick ROI versus branding and awareness saliency. While of course we are very, as the ecosystem improves and as much the privacy laws allow us to share data, we'll see how we can really work with that. I see a lot of advertisers collecting a lot of data. Honestly, I don't know what's happening with that. A lot of times I ask people, you're collecting so much of data, what are you going to do with it? Not all advertisers really have a strategic ecosystem to use that data. I would rather urge the advertising and the marketing community to use OTT to really create solid branding awareness funnel for yourself. I think the big challenge of digital advertising was always that you couldn't do storytelling. You couldn't really create a very compelling ad that you could show to people, right? Unless and until you really came with big bucks and had Shah Rukh or Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli appearing in your ad and had the topmost creative agency really build a film for you in Switzerland. You didn't really have. And all of us know that, not all ad campaigns come with that kind of budget. So I think today with connected TV, and I'm going to stay specific to connected TV, two things have happened. One is you have a very good definition of the audience. Now, whether these are premium, non-premium, I think that's secondary. The first thing is the growth mindset. I think the folks who really move to anything internet-enabled have the mindset to move to any service first. So I think that's a huge, sort of mindset to really tap into. Right. And I think that's the first data point that every advertiser should really look for, especially when they're thinking of CTV. What are we doing as OTT broadcasters? I think we understand that power really well. Particularly on Sony Live, we are very clear that we want to build a family brand as far as connected TV is concerned. India as a country is a single TV household, like Gaurav said. People will keep apps that are more compliant, to household viewing. And I think as long as we all keep creating content on top of that understanding of mindset, we will remain very relevant to a large set of advertisers. We are able to give them space to do 30-second, 40-second, 50-second advertising that they want to do. Our viewers don't see advertising as an irritant. So it's a great environment where you can really tell your story. So the guys who are really watching our content are there specifically for 30 minutes to watch a specific show. You show your ad over there. They really value what you're putting out there. They want to see your messaging. They are interested in your brand. So I think that's a great starting point for most advertisers.
Understood.
I think data will happen.
Right.
And that will really come in. I think technology will enable a lot of other services that I think brands can really tap into. So I think before everybody runs for CTV data, I think it's great space for brands to experience, just the ability to do great storytelling. And at the beginning of, our conversation, I was telling him, most welcome for all advertisers to make 60-second films, 30-second films, 40-second films. We have all options, skip, non-skip, everything. And I'm from television. I spent almost close to 1.5 decades of my career doing only television. So every advertiser starting 2013-14 started telling us, saying कि अरे यार देखो यार कितना अच्छा options मिलता है ना YouTube पे, I can do this and I can do that and I can. Now I'm saying you can do all of that and so much more without looking like an irritant. So if environment matters to you, where you're placing your brand, how you're placing your brand, are you an irritant? Are you not an irritant to your user? Then I think CTV should be your first choice, and it is already solved and solved at scale.
Absolutely. In fact, since you spoke about the technology part, the man sitting next to you, Vikram, you've been pioneer in building automated content recognition, which Samsung is so well advanced, not just in other markets, but now in India as well. You want to speak about how you will be able to address a part of this measurement issue?
See, I think ACR is basically going to become a very big scale measurement phenomenon in the future, but definitely we're not going towards the rating side of the business. What is needed today is a more unified viewership insights, because with the connected TV and with the streamers and the non-streamers, marketers and advertisers needs those measurement which is more holistic and gives you a complete visibility to what the consumer is today viewing or watching on the glass. This is what ACR is going to become. So ACR is going to bring in a more accurate viewership insights through which you can either plan your campaign better or you can go for a more addressable targeting. So this is what ACR is in the crux. But definitely in the future, you might hear a lot of these terms, the ACR term much more going forward, because OEMs are going to give you a much more visible insights into how the hardware, the viewership and the assisted ecosystem is giving you the holistic viewership insights.
Understood. Thank you. We'll take one last closing comment from Gaurav also. How do you see, as a broadcaster and a content owner, what initiatives should you be bringing up?
Okay, now that's going to take a long time, but I've just got to, add. So one is copy paste to what Ranjana said, right? So a part of that. But one of the things in terms of the data, we have enough tech, and especially from a legality standpoint, right? There are clean rooms available, right? We have the clean room tech. We don't have to necessarily hand over the data, which is something that, I wouldn't want to do that. I will not do that, because that's like handing over the keys to my house to you, which is not going to happen. Not now, not ever, right? But at the same time, I can help you leverage my data. I have partners who can provide a clean room environment from a tech standpoint. And today it's available from a mobile standpoint. Very soon it'll be available from a CTV standpoint as well, right? You want to get into FPD? Yes, at your own peril. But as my little understanding of the law is today, it's going to get tougher and tougher. It's going to be in the same lines as GDPR. But measurement will continue to be a challenge for the foreseeable future, right? Till the time we are able to come down to a common currency but CTV is a great step in that direction, coming down to a common currency and a common platform there. But it's going to take some time.
Thank you so much, everyone. I know we have extended the time a bit, but it was a very engaging session, so couldn't stop them. But thank you so much for bearing with us, and thank you so much, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you, Rajiv, and thank you to all of our speakers. I'm going to request you to please step forward for a group photograph. So let's capture that in the form of a quick group photograph. I'm going to request all of you to please come together, all our speakers. A very befitting session, and in a way, even the insights that we managed to gather becomes a segue towards our next session as well. I'm going to request you to please remain on stage for a minute so I can have the team from IMAI to please also hand over these wonderful gifts on behalf of our platinum partner, Route Mobile. We'd like to thank you for your valuable time with us here. Thanks so much. Thank you once again.